Now, right now, the Calgary Flames are in the absolute trenches. They are one of the worst teams in the entire league, and I am familiar with being in the trenches because the St. Louis Blues are right beside the Calgary Flames. We are neck and neck in the trenches right now. We are currently fighting for last place in the entire league so we can win the draft lottery in order to get Gavin McKenna. It is a tankathon between the Calgary Flames and St. Louis Blues right now, but right now, the Calgary Flames are beating us. This team is currently worse than the St. Louis Blues, but I shouldn't really say that. I think it's a difference of like 2 points between these two teams. Let's not act like the St. Louis Blues are significantly better than the Calgary Flames. It's a tankathon between these two franchises. But you know what? This video isn't about the St. Louis Blues and how big of a disappointment they've been. This video is about the Calgary Flames and me taking over as GM for the next 10 seasons. I'm going to be rebuilding this Calgary Flames team and I'm going to get them a Stanley Cup. But in order for this team to win a Stanley Cup, we have to tank, and we have to tank fairly quickly. So let's go sell half this team. That is the very first thing we're doing with this Calgary Flames team. All the older pieces on this team, they're all being shipped out. We're bringing in a new young core, and we're going to embrace that young core. Rasmus Andersson, you're gone. Nazem Kadri, you'll be gone next season because I can't trade you quite yet. Jonathan Huberdeau, I'm actually not 100% sure when I can trade you away. When does your modified no trade kick in? All right, not for quite a long time, so more than likely you're going to be sticking around with the team. Blake Coleman, I'm going to move on from you. Michael Backlund, I'm moving on from you. We're embracing a new core here. So without further ado, let the trades begin. So this is where our first trade is going to be looking like. Rasmus Andersson is going to be sent over to the Vegas Golden Knights. Barbashev, Trevor Connolly, and a second round pick is going to be acquired. More than likely, we're going to be doing a 3-team trade with Barbashev. We're going to be flipping him somewhere else. There's no point in taking his contract on. He doesn't really fit the timeline for this team, but he does help us make the contracts work here. I think this is a pretty fair deal for Vegas, and it looks like they think the exact same, so they're going to be accepting. So while I try to go and figure out where we're going to be flipping Ivan Barbashev to, if your team is currently better than the Calgary Flames in the NHL standings, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. And that means literally every person watching this video is going to have to be subscribed because there's no team worse than Calgary right now. St. Louis is a close second, but we're technically still ahead of them. Now I think this trade could actually work out really well for us. Ivan Barbashev sent over to the Carolina Hurricanes. Andrei Svechnikov, we're going to bring you in. Now you have let me down time and time again, but you're not going to do it this time. We are going to find a way for Svechnikov to see success on this team. They're going to be rejecting just Barbashev. That's not really much of a surprise, but there is quite a bit more we can throw into this deal. Now, I shouldn't say there's actually a ton more we can throw into this deal, but Blake Coleman or Backlund, I'm going to throw one of you guys into this deal, and it looks like it's going to be Backlund. So is this going to be enough for Andrei Svechnikov? Yes, it is. So he's going to be an amazing upgrade to our forward core. He fits the timeline a little bit better because he's 25 years old. He's going to help us win now, but he's also going to help us win in the future. So here's what the next deal is looking like. Blake Coleman and 2 third-round picks. Blake Coleman's going to be retained at 50%. We're bringing in Will Cooley and bringing in Gabe Perreault. 2 guys that are definitely going to fit the timeline for us. They're going to be rejecting this deal, but I think a couple 7th-round picks might make the difference. So we'll start with a 7th-round pick for 2027. The Rangers are going to be accepting immediately. It's always that lucrative 7th-rounder. Now I'm going to keep it a stack when it comes to season number 1. If we win a Stanley Cup, that's incredible. If we finish dead last in the entire league, that also works out for us. The last thing I want this team doing is missing the postseason by 2 or 3 games. If you're going to be bad, be very bad. If you're going to be good, be really good. But I just can't see this team right here being incredibly good. I think we're going to be closer to bottom 5, and honestly, I'm perfectly fine with that. So it's going to be a tank in year number 1. I have no issues with that. No, but I'm serious. You either be top 5 or you be bottom 5. Be nowhere in between that. I want this team either winning a Stanley Cup or getting a top 5 pick, and no in between. Now, shout out to the Calgary Flames for understanding the assignment here. Dead last in the league, a 22-36-3 record. This is exactly where we want to be. We don't want to be good by any means. We want to be the worst team in the entire league. Nazem Kadri, more than likely I'm going to ask you if you want to be traded away. I don't understand why you'd want to stay with this franchise, especially with where we're heading. Jonathan Huberdeau, same with you. I'm going to be asking you if you want to be traded. Hopefully you're going to be willing to be moved. Svechnikov, 11 goals and 31 helpers for 42 points isn't really ideal. You're only shooting 6.1%, and I kind of want that to be a little bit higher. Same with Matt Coronado, only 16 goals so far. That's not the greatest in the world. But what I'm going to do is have a handful of conversations with some guys that have no movements and no trades. Hopefully we're going to be able to move some of them, and then we can be even worse to finish out the season. We're focused on the future of this franchise. We're not worried about this season. We're not worried about next season. I'm talking 3-4 years down the line. So a trade like this makes absolutely no sense for us. Why on earth would I want Matheson and Laine? Like, that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Now, unfortunately, Nazem Kadri isn't interested in being traded away. Hopefully Huberdeau is. Because if we can't trade Nazem Kadri or Huberdeau, we're likely not going to be doing anything here. We're just going to be riding out this season, doing absolutely nothing. Huberdeau, he doesn't want to be traded as well. Alright, we're not doing anything. I guess I could talk to Mackenzie Weegar quick, and maybe that's not the end of the world. So Mackenzie Weegar, would you be interested in a trade? No, he isn't. Alright, we're going to do absolutely nothing here. There is no one else for us to trade away. Like, I'm not trading Zane Parekh away. I'm not trading Will Cooley. I'm not trading Kem Ball. Morgan Frost, Gabe Perreault, none of these guys are being traded. So yeah, we're going to do absolutely nothing. Now, season number 1 was an absolute success for what we were trying to do. Dead last in the entire league, a 32-44-6 record. We were not a good franchise whatsoever. Nazem Kadri's up to an 89 overall. He had 85 points this season, including 48 goals. Things are trending in the right direction. Exactly what I wanted to happen this season happened. Yes, the team looks terrible right now, and Dustin Wolf did not have good numbers. That's perfectly fine. We were blatantly tanking this season. We were trying to be bad in order to get an elite pick. We're going to draft a superstar. We'll make a handful of trades over the offseason, and then this team is going to be winning Stanley Cups. But we need to actually get the first overall pick here and not drop to the third overall. Who could have seen that coming? We're dropping from 1 to 3. Alright, if there is a franchise potential player available, we are doing everything in our power to move up in the draft. I haven't looked at the draft class quite yet. I couldn't tell you who is available, but when it comes to the first overall pick, it's unknown. It is an unknown player projected first overall. His numbers don't look crazy. 14 goals, 12 assists in 48 games. He had 20 penalty minutes. We didn't really do any scouting on this guy whatsoever. Do I want to take the risk and move up to the first overall pick? I have no clue. He's a two-way forward. I think I'd rather take this guy right here who could potentially be a power forward. He's NHL ready, similar style to Jeff Carter. We are going to risk it. We are going to simulate the first pick and pray this man doesn't have franchise potential. That sucks. That sucks quite a bit. We better get the player we want when it comes to the third overall pick, and it looks like that's going to be the case, but we missed out on a franchise potential player. No, that's heartbreaking right there. And then the guy we drafted is only a 76 overall. Okay, nothing really went to plan this season. We were tanking, hoping to get a franchise potential player. We could have got one if we traded up to the first overall pick. However, we didn't do that, and then a franchise potential player got drafted. Yeah, no, this season's kind of a disaster. I mean, we can make up for everything right here if we somehow get another medium elite potential player. That's not going to be the case. We're getting a medium top 6 potential guy, but I can live with that. Okay, I'm not going to lie, the rest of this draft is very cooked, so I'm going to try a deal like this where I'm giving up a 4th, 5th, and 6th rounder for Winnipeg's first round pick for next season because for some reason the trade value is not that far off. What if I gave you another 4th round pick as well? Is that enough for your first rounder? You're saying we're a little bit low. Okay, you have to understand the deal I'm doing here. We are trading 2 4th rounders, a 5th rounder, and 2 6th round picks, and we're getting a future first round pick. Granted, that pick is probably only going to be like the 31st overall or something, but even still, we gave up a whole lot of nothing to get a pick that might have value. Now, when it comes to money we're going to be handing out during the re-sign phase, I don't think we're doing really too much here. I'm giving a handful of guys 2-way contracts, and that's probably about it. Jake Bean, if we can sign you to a cheap deal, bring you back, but $2.3 million, I don't really know how I feel about that. Granted, 2.2 to play third pairing minutes for me is definitely not that bad. Ryan Lomberg, I can probably give you a pretty cheap deal. Here's 1.6 for 1 season. And I think those are likely going to be the only moves. So Jake Bean's accepting, Ryan Lomberg's accepting. There's all the major moves being done during the re-sign phase. Now, things definitely didn't go according to plan. I was hoping we'd be able to bring in a superstar, but instead we're bringing in a 76 overall. So this guy's likely not going to be jumping into the lineup next season. However, Nazem Kadri's modified no trade has kicked in. We can finally trade him away. There's 19 different teams he can be traded to. We're going to make a big move here. So here's what I'm thinking with Nazem Kadri. We can send him over to the Winnipeg Jets and pick up Cole Perfetti as well as a 3rd round pick. Cole Perfetti is going to fit the timeline a bit more. He's a good playmaker that we desperately need. We're also getting a 3rd round pick in this deal, but we have to give them a 7th. They need the lucrative 7th round pick in order to accept this deal, which we don't even have. We don't even have a lucrative 7th round pick, so here's an even more lucrative 6th round pick. Now, after making that Nazem Kadri trade, I actually don't think there's too much more we're going to be doing. Will Cooley, I do want to bring you back to the team, but not on a 1-year deal. We have to do multiple seasons. Morgan Frost, you're looking for only $3.5 million. I can definitely do that, so we'll do that for the next 3 years. Gabe Perreault, I could see you having a bigger role with the team. You want 2.4 for 1 season. What if we did multiple years? I'll do 2.5 for the next 2. I'm going to keep it a stack. I think more than likely it's going to be another year of tanking. We're not going to be competing for a Stanley Cup quite yet. There isn't really a ton of free agents I want to go after because at the end of the day, we're not ready to compete. Like, what are we going to do? Trade for John Carlson, sign Rasmus Anderson? None of those moves really make sense for us. Like, in reality, I think the only moves that make a little bit of sense for us is signing players like Anders Lee or Claude Giroux and then trading them away at the trade deadline. Like, we don't need guys that are going to help us win now. We just need guys that are going to be valuable assets at the trade deadline, and there's no one really jumping out at me right now. So I think all we'll do is maybe sign a backup goaltender and then we'll be good to go. So Brandon Bussey, I'll bring you to the team, 1.4 for the next 2 years. You're going to be a good enough backup goaltender for me, and then we just need somebody to play in the AHL. And who exactly is that going to be? Well, basically the guy that's willing to accept the cheapest contract possible. And Matt Guzda, you can be that guy. Here's $1 million for the next 3 years. You're going to be a great AHL goaltender for us. So it's going to be another year of tanking. However, this time we know for a fact there's going to be a franchise potential player available at number 1. This is the Landon Dupont draft. And if we can somehow walk away with Landon Dupont, then our defense would be set for the future. We're going to have Zane Parekh and Landon Dupont. Nobody would be able to stop us. And you know what? We might even tank the season after that, because if we could bring Maddox Schultzen in 2028, then we would have our franchise cornerstones. But until then, we're just going to blatantly tank. Like, this team is clearly not ready to compete quite yet. However, we do have a handful of young guys that are starting to show a little bit of potential, so maybe we can build on that. I mean, at the end of the day, I also need Svechnikov to also not completely suck and shoot 6.1%. Like, how about you get back up to like 10, 11, 12%? That would help quite a bit. Alright, now we have run into a little bit of a problem right now. We're 11th in the entire league with 72 points, a 34, 25, and 5 record. Now the main problem that we have right now is we have 72 points. In order to be dead last in the entire league, you can't have 78 points. There is basically no chance that we are one of the worst teams in the entire league and no chance that we get a top draft pick. So basically, we just have to accept the fact that we are competing this season. I have no clue how we're 11th in the entire league. I wasn't even trying to be competitive this season. Somehow we're competitive. Like, it actually makes no sense. Huberdeau 58 points, Cole Perfet 53 points, Morgan Frost 51. This team should not be competitive. Like, Svechnikov is supposed to be one of our top goal scorers, and bro can't score the puck. So I think more than likely we are going to make a trade here, but the trade is actually to make us more competitive. Svechnikov, I'm trading you away in order to get a better sniper. I think I have brought you on my team 3 or 4 times so far in NHL 26, and I don't think I've ever seen you produce. I don't know what it is, you just never seem to show up for me. I know Jason Robertson was on the trade block, however I believe he's an RFA. So if we trade for him, we're not even going to be able to sign him. However, we might be able to cook up something. Probably not with the Dallas Stars and Jason Robertson, but we will cook up a big deal. So when it comes to a Svechnikov deal, this is what I'm looking at. 1-for-1 for Mason McTavish. McTavish is scoring more goals. He's taking more shots. He has a better shooting percentage. Across the board, McTavish just kind of makes a bit more sense for us. I think 1-for-1's not going to be possible here, but if we throw in some second round picks, we can probably get it done. So here's a 2027 second round pick. Is that enough to make the difference? They're saying no, but they just need a late round draft pick. So here's a 5th rounder for 2028. And just like that, Mason McTavish has been brought to the team. But you know what? We might not be done yet, because Jason Robertson, is it possible? Now we have to remember Jason Robertson isn't going to be playing for us this season. However, he could play for us next season. And if I give up a Vegas Golden Knights second round pick and a Winnipeg Jets first round pick, is that enough for Jason Robertson? They're saying no. I think this deal could actually work out for us pretty well. Jason Robertson, I'm not 100% sure if you fit the timeline for us. Like, you're 27 years old. But if I could get like 5 or 6 good years out of you, then I think this deal makes sense. So we're giving up a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round pick. We're getting the rights to Jason Robertson. They're still saying no. Maybe we do a 3-team trade with Dallas. Alright, so here's what I'm thinking when it comes to a 3-team trade. Winnipeg's 1st round pick and a 2nd round from the Vegas Golden Knights is sent over to Nashville. We bring in this young rookie right here. We'll trade him over to the Dallas Stars, and when we trade him over there, we'll get the rights to Jason Robertson, and we'll be able to bring him back to the team next season. He won't be playing for us this season, but next season he's going to be a big time performer for us. I'll even throw Joel Farabee in this deal, because you know what? We can clear up that $5 million. We don't really need him on this team. He's not really playing good enough minutes for me. They're going to be saying no to that deal, but what if I throw in another draft pick? Like, I'll give you a 3rd round pick for 2028. Is this all enough for that rookie? Yes, it is. Now it's time for us to flip that rookie over to Dallas. Now this began as a slow rebuild. That is not the case anymore. Next season, we're going for a Stanley Cup. Jason Robertson, you're going to be a game changer for us. Welcome to the team after I give you a 5th round pick. So here's a 5th round pick for the Dallas Stars. We basically have no draft picks left except for I think 2 first rounders and 2 second rounders. That's perfectly fine. we're ready to compete. Now, as we know, we can't re-sign Jason Robertson right now. However, we will bring him back eventually, but right now we have to focus on Will Cooley. He's looking for $7.5 million. I can definitely do that, but how about we save a little bit of money? We'll do $6.9 for the next 5 years. He's up to an 87 overall. He's turning into one of our key players, so we have to make sure he's returning to the team. Now, the Calgary Flames actually had a pretty decent finish to the season. They're going to be finishing 10th in the entire league, a 45-32-5 record. And I just want to point out, Jason Robertson didn't play for us this season. That rookie that we drafted last season, he didn't play for us this season. Both of them are jumping into the lineup next season. We're ready to take over the NHL. Jonathan Huberdeau, 75 points. Cole Perfet, 65. Morgan Frost, 62. We're going to be surrounding these guys with a couple more elite scorers. Mason McTavish, I don't like that you finished with 27 goals, because I think when I traded for you, you already had 21 goals. So in the past 19 games, you had 6 goals, 5 assists for 11 points. Not really ideal. Granted, you did shoot 12.8% since I brought you to the team, and that's really all I was looking for. Dustin Wolf, 34 wins, 4 shouts, a 908 and a 306. Not the greatest numbers in the world, but I really wasn't expecting this team to be too competitive in year number 2. We're taking on the Winnipeg Jets in the first round. Let's just try to keep this competitive. I'm not looking for a Stanley Cup in year 2, but I definitely wouldn't be against it. So it's time for the Calgary Flames to lock in for this postseason run. I want this team to go 16-0. Obviously, that's not going to happen. We're probably going to get swept if I'm being completely honest. But you know what? That's not going to happen, because we're going to shut the Winnipeg Jets out in game number 2. In game number 3, we're going to steal that one away. We're going to be splitting the series as we're dropping game 4. So you know what? We've kept this competitive so far, and you know what? I'm perfectly fine with that. We might be dropping game number 5, but at least it's competitive. Like, it's year number 2 with the Calgary Flames. I definitely wasn't expecting this team to be winning Stanley Cups, but you know what? We're not looking too bad. We have a 2-goal lead entering the third period. Can we hold on to that lead? Yes, we can. We're off to game 7. Game 7 in year number 2 against one of the best teams in the entire league in the Winnipeg Jets. I'm definitely not against that. Like, we have to remember, Winnipeg won the Central Division. They're currently one of the best teams in the entire league, and we're forcing them all the way to game 7. So in game 7, only one game matters. The 6 games played before this, they don't mean anything. Gabe Vilardi is going to be picking up the first goal of the game. Moving into the second, Mackenzie Weegar is going to be responding. So can we win the third period and somehow move on to the second round? Well, I'm not quite sure, because we actually ended up tying the third period. We have overtime coming up. Who's going to be scoring the next goal? It looks like it's going to be Mark Scheifele. He's picking up a power play goal, and we're going to be eliminated in 7 games. But you know what? That's actually a lot more success than I was expecting for the Calgary Flames in year number 2. I was kind of hoping we were going to be a bottom 5 team, but instead we took a top 5 team to 7 games in the first round. That's showing a lot of promise for the future. So after falling to the Winnipeg Jets in 7 games, they made it all the way to the Stanley Cup final, where they would be swept to the Florida Panthers. But considering we took a team to 7 games that made it all the way to the Stanley Cup final, I think I can officially say the Calgary Flames are actually better than what their record is. Mason McTavish, 8 points. Cole Perfet, 5 points. Gabe Perreault, 5 points. We're going to make some big moves over the offseason, and we're going to be ready for our Stanley Cup run next season. Dustin Wolf, I'm going to give you a lot more support for next season. I'm expecting big things from everyone. No more disappointments in the postseason. It's Stanley Cup or bust every season moving forward. Okay, I know for a fact this guy isn't going to have medium franchise potential, but what if he actually does? We're going to draft him with the 23rd overall pick, and you know what? Low elite potential, 72 overall. I'll take that. That's a win in my books. Stefan Kronwall, you're going to be a great player for us in a couple seasons. Now, we don't have too many players looking for extensions, but we're going to start with Jason Robertson. He's looking for $11 million for the next 6 seasons. I don't really know if I want to give him a no movement. How about we do a no movement with a modified no trade at 50%? I think that works out a little bit better for us. Once we get to the tail end of your contract, if we want to trade you away, we're going to be able to do so. We're also going to save $1 million, $10 million for the next 6 seasons. I think that's an absolute steal with Jason Robertson. Unfortunately, he is going to be rejecting it because he wants his no movement. And you know what? I think we can actually make it work. Like, at the end of the day, once he gets to the end of his contract, he's going to be 33 years old. At 33 years old, he wouldn't have regressed a ton by then. So how about we do 9.5 for the next 6 seasons? I'll give you your full no movement. I think that works out for both sides. Is Robertson going to be accepting that one? Okay, he wants more money. All right, let's just keep this simple. $10.5 million for the next 6 seasons. Jason Robertson's going to be accepting that one, and he's finally going to be joining the Calgary Flames. When it comes to Hansek's deal, he's playing some good bottom 6 minutes, so here's 1.2 for the next 2 years. Klapka, I actually don't mind you on the bottom 6, and at 925k, that's an absolute steal. And then with everyone else, I think we're going to be looking at two-way contracts. I guess Braden Pahal's not going to be getting a two-way contract. We'll give him 1.8 for the next 3 years. And as a third pairing defenseman, I like that deal. Now, after making those signings during the re-sign phase, of course, we have to hand out some extensions, starting with Zane Parekh. We're going to be looking at $7.8 million for the next 3 years. He's our number one right defenseman, but I think we should give him a little bit more support. So Connor Zary, I think we're going to be moving on from you. So what we're going to do with Connor Zary is I'm going to trade him over to the Tampa Bay Lightning so we can bring in Eric Chernak. It'll give us a bit more defensive support. We could use a defensive defenseman on the team, and he's going to fill that role perfectly. So Connor Zary and a 7th round pick's being sent over, and we got our deal done. Now, I think the team might be ready to try to win a Stanley Cup. So with that being said, I'm not against bringing in a couple guys on some one-year deals. One player I'm definitely looking at is Evgeny Malkin. I think I'll offer him $11.5 million for 1 season. I could promise him something, but in my opinion, money talks a little bit more than a couple promises. Now, unfortunately, I guess money wasn't enough for Evgeny Malkin. He's going to be joining the Carolina Hurricanes instead. That's perfectly fine. We're only 4 days into free agency. There's still some great options available. One of those options being Ryan O'Reilly. And at $5.7 million, he could be a really good bottom 6 player for us. So how about we do that? 6.5 for Ryan O'Reilly for 1 season. He's definitely going to be a nice addition to the team. And then on top of Ryan O'Reilly, Brendan Dillon, how about I bring you in to play some third pairing minutes? I'll give you 6.5 as well. So those two acquisitions are going to be huge for us, but we might be able to afford one more guy. Now, who is that player going to be? I haven't really decided quite yet. But Pius Suter, you can play some 4th line minutes for me. So here's 2.5 million. All right, never mind. Ryan O'Reilly will not join the team. Brendan Dillon will also not join the team. Pius Suter will also not join the team. I know we had low organizational interest, but I offered them more money than they were expecting. Yeah, we're kind of in the trenches, so we're not going to sign anyone in free agency. We're just going to rock with the team we have. I knew Calgary wasn't a preferred destination, but even that's a little bit ridiculous. Now, it started off as a rebuild where we had to be incredibly patient. Now we're in year number 3 and we look like arguably the best team in the entire league. Life comes at you fast. Dustin Wolf is up to a 91 overall. He's not going to be regressing anytime soon. This entire team looks absolutely spectacular. Who's going to stop us? I can't imagine anyone taking this team down from top to bottom. They just look incredible. We have a lot of cap space moving into next season. So even next season, we're going to be looking incredible. And the year after that will be incredible. Nothing's going to be stopping this team anytime soon. Now, the Calgary Flames are looking pretty solid right now. 5th in the entire league, a 38-21-5 record. However, we are 3rd in our division behind the Edmonton Oilers and the Anaheim Ducks. So we better pick it up to finish out the season. Things are looking pretty good from the top players, though. Jason Robertson, 62 points so far, including 30 goals. Cole Perfetti, 21 goals and 49 points. Jonathan Huberdeau, 60 points. Will Cooley, 49 points. Zane Parekh, 44. The team's looking pretty solid from top to bottom. And then when it comes to our elite goaltender in Dustin Wolf, 31 wins, 3 shots, a 916 to 279. Things are looking great for him, but I think we could add a little bit more support. Now, I haven't really decided what I want to add for support because I don't want to trade a ton of picks away because we really don't have that many. So we actually really might not be doing too much here. You know what? The more I look at our team and what we would have to give up in order to get an upgrade, I actually don't think we're going to make any moves here. The forward core is looking really solid. The defensive core is looking really solid as well. I don't really want to mess things up here, so I think we're just going to stick with what we have. The Calgary Flames are already one of the top teams in the entire league. Let's not make a trade that's just going to make us worse. All right, I don't really know what happened after the trade deadline, but this team just completely collapsed. We're 12th in the entire league, a 45-32-5 record. We saw virtually no success after the trade deadline, and I don't really know why that was the case. Jonathan Huberdeau, you have dropped to an 85 overall, so there is a very high likelihood that we trade you away next season. We actually can't trade you away next season. We have to hold on to you for this season and next season. That's not really ideal. I think the one thing that we're currently missing is a superstar playmaker. Cole Perfetti, you're a good enough playmaker, but you're only an 85 overall. And then Morgan Frost, you had 36 points this season. I think you're only an 85 overall as well. We're just missing that superstar playmaker. We currently have 3 different playmakers on the team who are all 85 overalls. We need a 90 overall playmaker here. Dustin Wolf, you had some pretty solid numbers. We're moving into the playoffs where we get to play the Winnipeg Jets once again. Last season, they took us to 7 games. This season, we're getting past them in 5. Granted, we're in the exact same position we were last season. Winnipeg's winning the Central Division. We're taking them on as a wildcard team, but this time we're winning the first 2 games. Can we make that the first 3 games? Can we win game 3? Yes, we can. Can we sweep the Winnipeg Jets? Okay, the boys are rolling right now. The Calgary Flames are rolling. We took down the Winnipeg Jets, only allowing 4 goals in that series. No, the defense is locked in. The offense has been pretty solid as well, but the defense has been the main difference maker. 4 goals through the first 4 games. Nobody is stopping that defense. I just needed to continue. So can it continue into the second round? Yes, it can. A 1-goal performance in game 1, but we're allowing 4 in game 2. But you know what? The defense has stepped up once again. A 1-goal performance and then a shutout. Can we take down the Minnesota Wild? Yeah, the Calgary Flames are moving on to the conference finals, and right now they are by far the greatest defensive team we've ever seen. But the conference finals will not be an easy task. We're taking on the San Jose Sharks. They're a much improved team, but maybe they're not quite as good as the Calgary Flames. We have a 3-1 series lead. We are 1 game away from the Stanley Cup final, and here we are in the Stanley Cup final taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa's going to be an elite team, so we better be prepared for this matchup, and it looks like we are prepared. We're splitting the series, so it's a best of 3 moving forward. Who's going to win game number 5? Arguably the most important game. The Flames are stealing it. Can they win game 6 and be crowned Stanley Cup champions? That's exactly what we're doing. I was questioning this team after the trade deadline. Then we dominated the postseason. I thought it was going to take us a while before we saw Stanley Cup success with the Calgary Flames. They won in year number 3. Not only was the offense really solid from top to bottom, but I want to look at Dustin Wolf's numbers. This man just posted 15 wins, 2 shouts, a 938 and a 194. He is the sole reason we just won a Stanley Cup. No, like without this man, we're probably a first round exit. He put on an all-time goaltending performance. We had great depth scoring from top to bottom. I was questioning this team a little bit. I no longer am questioning them. We're going to run it back next season with basically absolutely everybody. I don't care if we don't have the highest overalls when it comes to playmakers. They all stepped up when we needed them to. Also, I just want to double check that Dustin Wolf has taken home the Conn Smythe. There is nobody on this team that deserves the Conn Smythe more than Dustin Wolf. Will Cooley took it home. That is the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen. Will Cooley, you were great and all. Don't get me wrong. You were not the Conn Smythe winner. It was Dustin Wolf. The fact they didn't give it to him is wild. Now, after winning a Stanley Cup, I wasn't sure if things could get better for the Calgary Flames. Then we drafted Sasaki, 32nd overall. He's a 75 overall, beginning with low elite potential. Yeah, we just keep on winning around here. Now, what if I told you it was just elite player after elite player? In the second round, a medium elite potential player, starting off as a 51 overall, but he's also a gem. Caden Backus, welcome to the team. No, like we're really just getting superstar after superstar right now. Now, if you were curious on what the re-sign phase is going to look like for us, I'm going to sign 2 rookies, and that's it. That's all we're doing. I guess Bussy also needs a contract extension, so here's $1.2 million. You've been a great backup for us. I wouldn't mind keeping you around. Now, things might get a little bit tough with this team regarding how much Cole Perfet is going to be asking for. He wants $6.1 million. Never mind, I didn't realize that we had $22 million in cap space. This is going to be very easy. Here you go, Cole Perfet. Here's $5.5 million. Gabe Perreault, I don't know how much you're going to be looking for, but you only want 2.3. How about we do 2 years at 2.5? It looks like 2.5 would be a little bit low, so how about I just do $2.8 million for the next 2 years? That should be enough to keep you around. And then when it comes to everyone else, we're probably going to be looking at some cheap contracts. Jake Bean, I'm definitely fine with $2.7 million. Hanzek, you're only looking for $1.8 million, so let's do multiple years. I'll do 2 years at $2 million for you. And then I think that's really all we have to worry about right now. Now, before we move into next season, I think there's one trade we make here. Matt Coronado, you haven't really lived up to the hype here. You're not scoring enough goals for me. In the past 2 years, you've only scored 16 goals in each season. That's just not good enough if you're going to be my second line sniper. So how about I bring in Lekkermacki, a guy who I know can score goals. I have seen Lekkermacki score countless big goals. He has always been an elite sniper for me every time I bring him onto the team. So Lekkermacki, it's time for you to become that player once again. We're giving up Matt Coronado a second and 2 third-round picks. That's still not enough for Lekkermacki. At the end of the day, I could give up that medium elite potential player that we drafted, but I don't really want to do that. So Coronado, 2 seconds and a third. Is that going to be enough? Lekkermacki, welcome to the team, and it probably wouldn't hurt if I re-signed you. Now, Lekkermacki might not be looking for an extension right now, but I feel like we should be able to get something done. He wants 8.5 for the next 3 years. We can make something happen. And it looks like the deal's going to look something like this. 8.3 for the next 3 years. We're not really going to save too much money, but he is going to be a star player for us. Now, last season, Calgary did something that I thought was going to be impossible, and that was winning a Stanley Cup in year number 3. But you know what? The boys surprised me. They went out there, dominated in the postseason, and they were able to take home a Stanley Cup. Mackenzie Weegar is up to a 93 overall. well. He even has franchise potential. Right now he's getting paid $6.2 million. I should probably double check on what his trade value is, because it actually might make a little bit of sense if we trade him sooner than later. Dustin Wolf is a 91 overall. We all know what the expectations are moving forward. It's Stanley Cup or bust. With that being said, Mackenzie Weegar, what on earth is your trade value? Like, you have franchise potential now. If it is ridiculously high, I might consider trading you. Yeah, this is definitely interesting. I don't think I'm going to trade you this season. I'm probably going to keep you for one more year, but next season we will be moving on from you. Like, that trade value is just too high to not capitalize on. Like, in theory, I should probably trade you right now, but I want to play a little bit risky, especially considering we have a chance at winning a Stanley Cup. Now, I'm a little bit surprised with the Calgary Flames right now. Like, I was thinking that our team would be looking a lot better than this. A 33-22-8 record. We're scoring 3.65 goals per game, which is in the upper half of the league. And then when it comes to our defense, 3.08 doesn't seem that great, but when you compare it to some of the other teams in the league, it's really not that bad. So I was kind of thinking the Calgary Flames would be looking a little bit better right now, but I guess that's not the case. We're pretty invested in the core we have right now, so I'm not really too sure what we're going to do. Like Jonathan Huberdeau, we're basically just waiting until we can trade you away, because I'm pretty sure you have a no movement right now. Yes, you do. So we're not going to be doing anything with Jonathan Huberdeau. Honestly, I think the plan is just to ride it out with who we have right now, and then next season we're going to trade Huberdeau away. We're going to end up trading Mackenzie Weegar away because his trade value is absolutely ridiculous, and once we do that, we're going to be embracing a new core moving forward. Like, don't get me wrong, the players that we have right now, they're great players, but I think if we were able to upgrade Huberdeau and then upgrade our defense by getting rid of Mackenzie Weegar because his trade value is so high, we would actually be in a better spot. Like, don't get me wrong, when we trade Mackenzie Weegar away, we're definitely not going to be replacing him with a 93 overall defenseman. However, if we can trade Mackenzie Weegar and Huberdeau and bring in two 90 overall players and then an 88 overall player as well, I think we'd be in a better spot. Now, when it comes to trades that I'm looking to make right now, I'm not really too sure if there is anything. Like, as I just mentioned, we're pretty invested with the core we have. We don't really have a lot of picks that we can trade away. We do have cap space, but I'm not really invested in making a move right now. So I think we're actually just going to stick with the team we have. Last season, when we trusted our team, we were able to win a Stanley Cup, and I'm kind of just hoping we can do that again. Dustin Wolf, when the lights are the brightest, I need you to stand on your head. Now, regardless of what our record is right now, and trust me, it is not looking that great, we are the reigning Stanley Cup champions, so you definitely can't count us out. A 43-30-9 record, yeah, we weren't that good. Yeah, plain and simple, the Calgary Flames are not looking elite this season. However, we're the reigning Stanley Cup champions, and I cannot emphasize that enough. Last season, we won the Stanley Cup, so when the lights are the brightest, this team does know how to show up. Dustin Wolf, the numbers look terrible this season. I'm going to keep it a stack. An 898 and a 309, yeah, this ain't it. But you know what? When the postseason comes around, you know how to step it up. You know how to beat the Winnipeg Jets. So let's do it again. Last time we took on the Winnipeg Jets, I believe we swept this team, and after sweeping them, we went on to win the Stanley Cup, so hopefully that's going to happen again. Well, we're already off to a terrible start as we dropped game number 1, and we dropped game 2, allowing 6 goals, so that is not a great start whatsoever. Do not drop game number 3. We actually might get swept here. Luckily, that's not going to be happening, but we still have a huge hill to climb. Can we win game number 5 as well after winning game number 4? It looks like it. Now, win me game 6. Can we make a 3-0 series comeback? We need to win game number 6 first. Can we do that? Yes, we can. We have won 3 straight games. I want to keep the momentum going. I'm not jumping into game 7. We're just going to simulate it, and we're losing 2-0. I didn't want to jump into that game after I saw us win 3 in a row. We just had to trust the process, and the process led to us losing in game 7 against the Winnipeg Jets. You know what? Clearly, we just weren't ready. After winning a Stanley Cup last season, our hopes were through the roof. We had way too much hope in this team, and in reality, we weren't really that great. We're lacking a superstar playmaker. Mackenzie Weegar is aging out on us. Let's go make some moves over the offseason and make this team significantly better. Now, it turns out we definitely didn't lose to a bad team in the first round because the Winnipeg Jets are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup, taking down the Buffalo Sabres. So Winnipeg was one of the best teams in the entire league. They actually were the best team because they won the Stanley Cup. Now, when it comes to Calgary, we're embracing a mini rebuild here. Jonathan Huberdeau, you have played your final games with the Calgary Flames. Mackenzie Weegar, you have also played your final games with the Calgary Flames. It's a new era for the Calgary Flames. We're going to be better offensively. We're going to be better defensively. Across the board, we're about to be better. I knew I should have traded him last season. We should have traded Mackenzie Weegar last season. His trade value has completely fallen off. I've made a mistake. Now, thankfully, this draft isn't going to be a complete bust for us. We are going to be walking away with a medium-league potential goaltender. However, I think I'd rather have a medium-league potential forward because they would have significantly more trade value. Now, it turns out that goaltender isn't going to be the only elite potential player we're walking away with, because we're also going to get a low elite potential defenseman with 149th overall. And you know what? I don't think one low elite potential player is enough, so how about we draft another one? So there's nothing really to worry about during the re-sign phase. More than likely, we're going to be letting these guys walk. Pospisil's not going to be returning. I guess we could bring back Hunter. He does play good third pairing minutes for me at $2.1 million, though it is a little bit expensive, but I don't really care. We can bring him back. He has medium top 4 potential. It's not a terrible deal. And then with everyone else, it is going to be two-way contracts. Now, we're going to be making a handful of moves during the offseason. The first move is giving Terry Tukin an extension. I lied because I want to do multiple years with him. We're actually not going to be signing him quite yet. So you know what? That means we're going to be making trades first. So here's what I'm thinking. Mackenzie Weegar is going to be shipped over to the Minnesota Wild. Z Boyum's going to be brought in as an 86 overall. He's going to be a really good defenseman for us, and he's going to keep on getting better. Yurov is also going to be brought in as an 87. We should be able to re-sign him for fairly cheap. He hasn't really done too much so far. However, he is decent enough overall, so I think he's going to be a great addition to the team. Minnesota is going to be rejecting that trade package, but we do have this medium-league potential player we drafted a couple years ago. I shouldn't really say a couple years ago. We drafted him last season. We're going to throw him into this deal as well, and then hopefully we can get some draft picks back. So Mackenzie Weegar and Backus for Z Boyum, Yurov, and 2 second-round picks. They're going to be saying no to that. I'll take one of the second-rounders out of the deal. They're still saying no. I guess we're going to go 2 for 2 here, but I think it's working out for us. Now, I think we have to continue with our retool, and the next person going to be traded away is going to be Will Cooley. Kent Johnson's going to be brought in because we need a new number 1 playmaker, and I think he could fit that role perfectly. He still has pretty solid potential, and if I play him on the top line, he's definitely going to be unlocking that potential. We'll throw a second-round pick in the deal, and that will be enough to get this one done. Now, we're going to make 2 more moves before we head into next season. Chernak and a first-round pick can be shipped out so we can bring in Axel Sandin-Pellikka. We need another offensive defenseman, and of course, he's going to fit that role perfectly. If I have to give up multiple first-round picks in this deal, I'm perfectly fine with doing that because Sandin-Pellikka is going to be an absolute superstar for us. I feel like we gave up a little bit too much, but you know what? We got the deal we wanted done. Sandin-Pellikka, welcome to the team. And then to finish it all off, Jonathan Huberdeau. I'll just use Trade Finder. I just need to find a way to get you off the books here. Who is going to be willing to take on your contract? The Pittsburgh Penguins are. They're going to give us Rasmus Ristolainen. I don't want Rasmus Ristolainen, so I'm just going to flip him as well. So Ristolainen, I'll throw you into Trade Finder. We can get a 4th and 5th rounder from Boston. That works for me. Now, there's going to be a couple contracts that we're going to ride out this season. Morgan Frost is going to be returning to the team. Sharon Govich is going to be returning to the team. But for next season, they can be some valuable pieces for us. Yurov, I think we can bring you back to the team, and it looks like we're going to be able to. $5 million is a little bit much for the role you're going to be playing, but you know what? We have a lot of cap space, so here's 4.8 for 2 seasons. Now, we went ahead and made some changes over the offseason. Kent Johnson is going to be the new number 1 playmaker alongside Jason Robertson and Mason McTavish. I think these 3 guys are going to see a lot of success, and then when it comes to our second line, I think that's in a better spot. Truthfully, I think the forward core in general is in a better spot here, and even the defense. Axel Sandin-Pellikka, although he's not going to be as good defensively as Eric Chernak, he's going to bring in some offense that we didn't have before. And then when it comes to goaltending, Dustin Wolf, we know what you're capable of. I think we put a better team in front of you this season, so I'm expecting a lot more success. Also, one thing I didn't mention is Yurov did reject the contract offer we gave him, so yeah, we should probably double check with him when it comes to an extension. So he's not looking for a contract extension. He wants 6.3 for the next 2 years. I think there's actually a good chance that we probably don't bring you back. More than likely, you're going to be qualified as an RFA or something. Alright, so we won a Stanley Cup a number of years ago. We have not seen success since. We are now outside the postseason while being 13th in the entire league with a 33-22-5 record. We are not scoring goals at all. Our defense is very good though, 2.83. That's going to be the 5th best defense in the entire league. We're just not scoring goals. I don't know why this team isn't scoring goals. I feel like we have enough goal scorers on this team, but we are not finding the back of the net. Okay, just looking at our stats right now. 26 goals, 17 goals, 24, 22, 13, 13. Yeah, we don't have goal scorers on this team. That needs to change immediately. So let's go find a bunch of players that just take shots. I don't care whether or not you have a high shooting percentage. Just give me players that take a lot of shots. Alright, so here's what I'm thinking. You're off. You are not scoring goals for me. You just haven't been that guy even though you're an 87 overall. The Anaheim Ducks have this young rookie that they drafted a couple years ago. He's actually not a rookie anymore, but he's an 86 overall that scores goals, and I need goal scorers on this team. They're going to be rejecting this deal because they don't really want Morgan Frost. I think there's a way in which we get this deal done. Morgan Frost, we just have to send you elsewhere and get a defenseman. Alright, so Morgan Frost, a 3rd and 4th rounder, is going to be sent over to Buffalo. We're bringing in Bo Byram. He's currently getting paid $9.5 million, which is quite a bit. However, the Anaheim Ducks do have a lot of cap space. Alright, we have run into a slight issue. Although Anaheim would be under the salary cap when it comes to a deal like this, I have thrown quite a bit into this deal, and they keep on saying no. So I just don't know how we're going to get this deal done. It might be impossible. There's only one other way I think I can get this deal done, but it's going to be very complicated and we need one specific player. Okay, so I think this is the deal. Bo Byram, a 3rd and 4th rounder sent over to Vancouver. We get this CHL player right here. Now we need a CHL player because when I trade him alongside Yurikov, it's not going to conflict with the Anaheim Ducks. They're going to be willing to accept 2 forwards. I don't know how many more draft picks we have to throw in this deal, but we basically have nothing left. I am trading way too much away for us not to get this deal done. Now this trade package should be enough for us to get this sniper from the Anaheim Ducks. It's a little bit low. They want a 7th round pick and we can give them that because we basically only have 7th rounders left. We have traded absolutely everything else away. Anaheim's accepting the deal and now we're going for a Stanley Cup. But first we have to make the postseason because we're currently outside the playoffs. Now you know what would be really crazy for the Calgary Flames? Just being consistent throughout the entire year. Instead of starting the season 8-0 and then losing 10 straight games after that, just be good for the entire season. It doesn't seem like that difficult of a task, but for this team it is. Also, the league is incredibly competitive. Like, I just want to point out, we finished with 45 wins and 97 points. The Washington Capitals were 3 points ahead of us and only had 1 win on us. The Winnipeg Jets, who were top 5 in the entire league, had 3 more points than us and only 2 more wins than us. Edmonton had 2 more wins than us and 5 more points than us. The only 2 teams that really stand alone right now are the Colorado Avalanche and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Everyone else is fairly close. So even though our record doesn't look elite right now, we can compete with anyone. I don't care who we're taking on, we can compete with the best in the NHL. This young player that we got from the Anaheim Ducks has picked up 11 goals in his last 22 games. That's what we needed. We needed a goal scorer like this. We finally have a bit more goal scoring help. Dustin Wolf's numbers look incredible this season. We just need to find a way to bring it all together. Elite offense and elite defense. We've done it once before, and when that happened, we won a Stanley Cup, so how about we do it again? Also, I just thought I'd point out in the final game of the season, we lost 6-4 to the Edmonton Oilers. So let's see if things changed in the past 3 days. Can we finally figure it out against the Edmonton Oilers? We lost 6-3 in game 1. We allowed 6 goals in the last game of the season to the Edmonton Oilers. In the first game of the postseason, we allowed 6 again. We just allowed 6 in game 3. This team does not know how to defend anymore. We were elite defensively for that one postseason run. Since then, we haven't figured it out, but now we're winning games. We have a 3-2 lead on Edmonton. Can we close it out in game number 6? I don't want to go to game 7. We need game 7. Game 7 is going to decide this series. So far, we haven't had the greatest record in Game 7, so hopefully things turn around for us. It's Calgary versus Edmonton, Game 7 of the first round. We're picking up 2 goals in the first. Moving into the second, we're going to be exchanging goals. So can we close it out in the third period here? Are we going to completely collapse? Well, Mason McTavish is going to be picking up a goal on Stuart Skinner, and we're moving on to the second round. Now, that series was way closer than it should have been, but you know what? I think we've learned from our mistakes. We know what we have to do moving forward. We have the Vegas Golden Knights up next. Let's just get the offense going and let's get the defense going. As long as we have those 2 things, we're going to be unstoppable. A 7-1 victory in game number 1 is exactly what I'm looking for. I think the team is finally rolling here. We have a 3-1 series lead on Vegas. We just need to win one more game, make it game number 5. We're in the conference finals. I think so far in this video, as long as we get out of the first round, we're actually undefeated. So how about we take down the Winnipeg Jets and move on to the Stanley Cup final? We know we can beat Winnipeg because we've done it before, and we have a 3-1 series lead once again. Close it out in game 5, move on to the Stanley Cup final. Do not blow a 3-0 series lead. Win me one more game. That's what they're doing. As long as we win game 7 in the first round, we're moving on to the Stanley Cup final. It's happened time and time again. It's happening again here, but now we have the Florida Panthers. Florida is going to be no pushover here. We know what they're capable of. We know how many elite players they have, but you know what? They're not ready for the Calgary Flames. We split the series so far, so that means game number 5 is going to be the biggest game of the postseason. Can we steal that one away? We're dropping back-to-back games. We need a game 6 victory. A game 6 victory right now would feed families. It would keep the Calgary Flames alive in this series. So far, we're outscored 2-1 the first period. Moving into the second period, things are not looking good. We need the greatest comeback of all time, and we did not get that comeback. We're falling 5-2 in the Stanley Cup final. The Florida Panthers are taking down another Alberta team, It's just not right. Why do the Florida Panthers just dominate Alberta teams this much? It just doesn't make sense. They're taking down the Calgary Flames. Kent Johnson, 23 points. Jason Robertson, 22. Mason McTavish, 22. The offense was pretty good. Zane Parekh was -3. Perreault was -3. Sharon Govich was -3. I hate those plus-minus numbers right there. And then when it comes to goaltending, Dustin Wolf just wasn't his usual self. A 907 and a 309. When the lights were the brightest, you need to be better than that. And I guess you just couldn't step it up for me once again. We're going to be following in the Stanley Cup final to the Florida Panthers. I can guarantee you we will be back. This team has shown too much potential in the past to not get back to the Cup final. Tara Tukin, I'm bringing you back to this team. I was kind of hoping we could do a longer term deal than this, but I'll do 8.8 for the next 3 years. And then outside of him, of course, we need to keep around that young player from Anaheim, but I guess he's already re-signed with us. I was unaware of that. Did I give him an extension or did he sign earlier? It looks like he's going to be signed for $8.9 million. I think he's sticking around for the rest of the video. Yes, he is. That's actually a contract I can work with. So the team's looking pretty solid. We have a handful of guys locked down moving forward. I'm just going to need these guys to figure it out and be consistent year after year. And if we can get a little bit of consistency, then nobody's going to be able to stop us. Now, of course, it wouldn't be a normal draft without us getting at least one lowly potential player. But we're getting a 68 overall in the 6th round. This guy actually might turn out to be a superstar for us. I say superstar very lightly though, because at the end of the day, how many years does he really have to develop? We have 5 years left in the rebuild. He would have to develop really quick. Also, with the 159th overall pick, we got Aaron Gordon. Didn't realize bro was switching sports like that. Now we have $13 million, but with that cap space, I don't really know if I want to be using on guys like Sharon Govich. Like, he's playing bottom 6 minutes for me right now. He's basically spent a majority of his time here on the 4th line. So do I want to give him $6 million? Absolutely not. Bahal, you're likely going to be leaving. Klapka, you're going to be leaving as well. We're just going to sign a couple guys to 2-way contracts. Now, it's probably a good thing that we have a lot of cap space, because look at all the guys that we have to sign here. We're going to need that money. Of course, we're going to start with Zane Parekh. He's arguably the most important player to the team. If we're going to be giving Zane Parekh a new contract, we might as well just lock him down for the rest of the video. So that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be a 4-year deal. Of course, we'll give him a no movement because he's the most valuable player to our team right now. I'm thinking we can probably get this down to like $11.5 million or something, and it looks like that's going to be the case. 11.5 for Zane Parekh. He's going to be returning. Axel Sandin Palacum, expected we can do the exact same with you. We'll do 9.5 with a no movement. Like, we might as well lock down all the important defensemen on our team. And you know what? We're saving a lot of money with this deal. Can we do $8 million for the next 4 years? Okay, $8 million is a little bit OD, but how about we do 8.5 for the next 4 years? That's an absolute steal. That's the exact same price as what he's getting paid right now. He's an 89 overall. We're keeping all the superstars on this team. The next superstar we're looking to keep around is going to be Kent Johnson. I think we can keep him around for $10.5 million, so that's exactly what we're going to give him. And then when it comes to Mason McTavish, what's his big contract going to be looking like? $13 million. If we give Mason McTavish this deal, more than likely Kevin Ball is not going to be returning to the team, but I think we can make it work. So Mason McTavish, I'll give you $12 million for the next 8 seasons. I think that's a pretty good deal for you. You're one of our top players. Kevin Ball is likely going to be leaving. Gabe Perreault is probably going to be leaving. We're going to be losing a handful of guys, but you know what? That's just the way she goes. Also, Lekermacki is now dropped to an 84 overall, so I think we're just going to trade him away just to free up that money. So him and Kevin Ball might be thrown into a deal together, and then we might try to get another defenseman. Alright, so this is what I think we're going to do. Kevin Ball and Lekermacki are going to be sent over to the Ottawa Senators. Yakinchuk's going to be brought in. He's going to be on a cheaper contract, $5.4 million for the next 3 years. We can make that work a little bit better. I'll throw in a 7th round pick, and then we'll get this deal done. So we're getting a new defenseman to join our defensive core. I'm expecting Carter Yakinchuk's going to be taking the next step pretty soon here. I believe in the team we have. We've made it to 2 Stanley Cup finals so far. For some reason, though, we just don't get the regular season results. Alright, so we need to sign 2 goaltenders. Kolosov's going to be the first one. He's likely going to be our backup next season. And then our next goaltender is going to be Jonas Korpisalo. He's going to be playing some AHL minutes for me. Now, we do have to bring in a couple guys on some 1-year deals. Podkolzin, I actually think he'd be great for that role, but you want to play on one of our power play units. I don't really want to commit that to you because I can't guarantee it. Arturi Lehkonen, maybe you'd be a good guy for the bottom 6 here. It's $5.6 million for 1 season. You're going to consider that offer, even though it's literally the only one that you've received so far. Nichushkin, you're another guy that we can bring in. You and Arturi Lehkonen on our bottom 6 could probably have some good results. And then we'll finish it off with a centerman looking to sign a 1-year deal. Nazem Kadri, yeah, why not? We can bring him back. Nazem Kadri, welcome back to Calgary. Here's $6 million for 1 season. You're definitely not worth that. Like, we could have signed Jack McBain for $1.6 million. He's the same overall as Kadri, but I said no, I want Nazem Kadri. So I guess we're about to figure out who's going to be accepting contract extensions. Mason McTavish is coming back to the team. Arturi Lehkonen is going to be signing. Kent Johnson Johnson's going to be returning. Axel Sandin Pelka is going to be rejoining the team. We basically were able to extend absolutely everybody, and I think we're left with a little bit of money. I'm not sure how much money though. Like, I'm assuming that we don't really have that much money left. We have 12.6 million. Okay, that is significantly more than what I thought. So yeah, this team's still in an amazing spot. Now I'm going to keep it a stack here. I don't care about the regular season success. I don't care if we never win a President's Trophy. The only thing I care about is Stanley Cups. We've been able to win one so far in this video. The team is still looking amazing. We have the best goaltender in the league right now, 92 overall Dustin Wolf. As long as this team steps up in the postseason when it matters, we can walk away with a couple more Stanley Cups. We have all the important pieces signed for this season, all the important pieces signed for next season. We're looking to actually do some damage now. Now, it's taken a long time, but we're finally seeing some regular season success. A 39-18-7 record. The offense is looking great. The defense could be better, but at least we're seeing regular season success. We have won 39 games so far. Jason Robertson, he has 72 points. Cole Perfetti, 65 points. Kent Johnson, 64. This team is scoring goals. They're seeing success. It's an amazing day. I don't want to adjust this team whatsoever. I don't want to make any changes. I think we have one of the best teams in the entire league, and I know for a fact once the postseason comes around, we're going to see even more success. So let's not change anything. Let's just stick with the team we have. Now this just brings a tear to my eye. The best team in the entire league, a 52-23-7 record. We finally figured it out. The offense is looking pretty solid. The defense is even better after the trade deadline. Jason Robertson's picking up 92 points. The team figured it out. What can I say? We are finally seeing success. The top six is absolutely dominating for us. Dustin Wolf picked up 40 wins and 7 shutouts. He's looking amazing, and it's time for us to take over the postseason. It's time for us to take on the Winnipeg Jets once again, because why wouldn't we face this team in the playoffs? Would it really be a postseason simulation if we didn't take on the Winnipeg Jets at least once? For some reason, we just keep on taking on the Winnipeg Jets. I have no clue why. We match up against them all the time, but I'm here for it. We're exchanging the first 2 games. Game number 3 is a big one. We're going to drop that one 6-2. Not a great start. So far, we split the series. So game number 5 is the most important game. We have to steal that one away from the Winnipeg Jets. Are we going to be able to do that? Nope, we allowed 8 goals. Of course, everything's going to collapse once we get to the postseason. We finally dominate the regular season, only to collapse in the playoffs. 2 goals allowed in the first period. We're responding in the second period. Of course, it's Nazem Kadri. We have to win the third period, though, and that's exactly what we're doing. So we have Game 7 coming up. Don't lose to Winnipeg. We can't afford to lose in Game 7. I refuse to lose in Game 7. This team was looking amazing this season. We can't go out in the first round. We're going to be picking up 2 goals in the first period. Moving into the second, we're exchanging goals. So just win the third period and we'll be all right. Unfortunately, we're not winning the third period, but luckily we will be winning the game. So once again, it's another Game 7 victory. You guys know what happens when we make it out of the first round. We see a lot of success after that. So it's time for us to keep on rolling. We have the Edmonton Oilers up next. As we know, the Edmonton Oilers aren't going to compete with us because we're the second round Calgary Flames. And in the second round, this team does not lose. We almost swept the Edmonton Oilers. We just need to win one more game. We're moving on to the conference finals. Can that game be game number 5? Yes, it can. We're off to the conference finals. Now, there is something about this Calgary Flames team. Once they get out of the first round, they see a lot of success. We're taking on the Minnesota Wild in the conference finals, but they're going to steal game number 1 away. We've actually exchanged games so far. Game 5 is going to be the most important one. A best of 3 moving forward. We're stealing game 5 away. Now we're going to steal game 6. We won game 6 and we're in the Stanley Cup final, taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Calgary's back in the Stanley Cup final for the 2nd year in a row, the 3rd time in this video, but now it's time for us to get Stanley Cup number 2. So it's an all-Canadian matchup. Which Canadian team is coming out on top? Why on earth did we allow 9 goals in game number 1? I have no clue, but we split the series. So game 5 is a must win. You need to win game number 5. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this again? We're dropping the most important game, and now we have to win back-to-back after that. So can we make this comeback against the Toronto Maple Leafs? Matthews is picking up the first goal of the game. He's picking up another goal in the second. A Matthews hat trick is about to take us down, but maybe not. Hansik's picking up a third period goal. We just have to prevent the Austin Matthews hat trick in overtime, and that's what we're doing. Zane Prek just scored one of the biggest goals of the year, and now we're moving on to game 7. Ignore the extremely weird cut there. I had to hold in a sneeze, and then I sounded really funny when I was trying to narrate that goal. So yeah, just ignore that. There's going to be a very weird cut where Zane Parekh scores that OT winner. Just ignore that. I was holding in a sneeze. It didn't really work out. There's going to be a really weird cut in the edit, but you guys have to live with that. We have Game 7 coming up. Cole Perfet is going to be picking up a goal in the first period. Moving into the second, we're going to be exchanging goals. So now we need to win the third period. Can we somehow win the third period and win another Stanley Cup here? It doesn't look like it. We're allowing 2 goals, 2 back-to-back goals, and now we have overtime. Overtime's going to sell this one again. I don't have to worry about holding in a sneeze, but regardless of whether or not I have to sneeze, it doesn't change the result. Morgan Rielly's picking up an OT winner in Game 7, and we're falling to the Toronto Maple Leafs. You can't make this up. Game 7 in the Stanley Cup final, and we're losing to the Toronto Maple Leafs. This just makes me sick. We just lost a Stanley Cup due to a Game 7 Morgan Rielly OT winner. Nah, that just didn't happen. That is not a real result. Dustin Wolf, you had numbers. No, I'm heartbroken. Let's move on real quick here. A Game 7 OT winner from Morgan Rielly. No, that didn't just happen. Now, I can't even be gassed about a medium elite potential gem. I don't care. I do not care in the slightest that we just got that man. We lost. We lost in Game 7 in overtime to a Morgan Rielly OT winner. I'm never going to be able to get over that. Also, in case you're wondering, yes, we did get another low elite potential player, because why wouldn't we draft our 800th low elite potential player of the video? So I'm just heartbroken. Plain and simple. There's nothing really for me to say. Hanzek, here's 2.9 million. Gabe Perreault, I'll give you a contract as well. We lost to a Morgan Rielly OT winner. That happened in Game 7. We lost to a Morgan Rielly OT winner in Game 7. Like, I don't think we're really comprehending what just happened. Morgan Rielly in Game 7 of overtime in the Stanley Cup final. Bro, you're not getting 7.2 million from me. I'll qualify you as an RFA. Honestly, you're lucky if you get 2.1. But yeah, Game 7 of overtime. Morgan Rielly. Now, right now, we have $8.7 million in cap space, and that's probably a good thing because Z Boyum needs an extension. He wants $11 million for the next 2 years. What if we did 3 years and I gave you a no movement? If we did 3 years and I gave him a no movement, we should be able to save a little bit of money here, and we're actually going to be saving quite a bit of money. Can we do $10 million for the next 3 years? That's what I'm going to offer you. I'm going to offer you $10 million for the next 3 years. I think Z Boyum's going to be accepting that deal, so he's going to be sticking around. And then when it comes to everyone else, we're just not going to worry about that right now. Except for Cronwall. I actually will give Cronwall a deal. We'll do 2 years. Actually, can we do 3 years? I could probably do 3 years at 1.3 million or something. Like, you could be a good third pairing guy for me next season, so that's what we'll do. 1.3 for the next 3 with Cronwall. Now, with the $8.7 million we have in cap space, I'd like to sign 2 players to the team. So we're probably looking at $4 million a player. That is very good math right there. Now, who are those players going to be? Well, one of them is going to be Pavel Zacha. He's an 82 overall. He's only looking for about 2.5 million. That works for me. So Pavel Zacha, here's your contract. And I think I also saw Artemi Panarin down there. Hold on, is that Nathan McKinnon? Nathan McKinnon would be a very interesting pickup. I know he's not the player he used to be. Can we do 1 year? 1 year, a no movement with Nathan McKinnon. If he's willing to accept that, I'll definitely bring him to the team. I don't care if we don't get Pavel Zacha, except he already accepted. Okay, so this signing is actually bigger than you realize because I'm about to put one of my theories to the test. And what is that theory? Overalls really don't matter that much. Now, how am I going to put this theory to the test? Well, we have a new number 1 centerman, and his name is Nathan McKinnon. So this is a theory that I have had for a long time. Overalls really don't matter that much. It's 90% X factors. So as we can see, Nathan McKinnon is an 84 overall. In the past, Nathan McKinnon has been one of the best players in the NHL. But at 36 years old as an 84 overall, he's not that guy anymore. Watch him pick up 100 points this season. That is my prediction for Nathan McKinnon. Even though his overall shows he's not that guy anymore, he's about to dominate. And also because I am so confident in my theory and I believe in this team so much, we're going right to the end of the season. We're not stopping at the trade deadline. We really don't have any cap space to do anything anyways. So yeah, there's no improvements we can make to this team. The team we have right now is the team we're finishing the season with. Now, I'm definitely disappointed with what happened this season. The Calgary Flames, first in the entire league with 52 wins. Nathan McKinnon, on the other hand, he didn't have 100 points. He had 95 though, including 41 goals and 54 assists. I think this kind of proves my point. Overalls in NHL 26, and I feel like in a couple NHL games in the past, like NHL 25 and NHL 24, aren't nearly as important as you think. X factors mean way too much. But on top of that, it's also just the player. Like if you bring a superstar player to the team like Nathan MacKinnon, for some reason, regardless of what their overall is, they'll always find a way to succeed. And that's what's happening here. Nathan MacKinnon's the best player on the team at 36 years old. He is an 84 overall and he is absolutely dominating. I actually think he's an 85 now, but that's beside the point. He is an 85. Nathan MacKinnon is the best player on this team. He almost picked up 100 points, even though he is regressing. We're going to be taking on the St. Louis Blues in the first round. I refuse to lose to St. Louis in the first round because I know what that team is comprised of. Granted, I should remember, this is not the 2025 St. Louis Blues we're talking about. This is the 2032 St. Louis Blues we're talking about. So I can only assume this team is in a better spot. We're shutting them out in game number 1, but we're dropping game 2. So it's going to be a best of 5 moving forward. Can we win game 3? Yes, we can. Now, can we win game 4? Of course we can. So we have a 3-1 series lead. We're about to take up the St. Louis Blues, and then we're going to be moving on to the second round. A 3-0 shutout. Yeah, they really just can't compete with us. So St. Louis got shut out in 2 of the 5 games they played. Why does that not surprise me? We're moving on to the second round, and now we have the Anaheim Ducks up next. Now, the Ducks are going to put more pressure on us, but maybe not enough pressure. We're winning game number 1, but dropping game 2, shutting them out in game number 3, but they're responding in game 4. So it's a best of 3 moving forward, with game 5 being the most important game, and we're scoring 6 goals. Granted, we did allow 5 goals, but we're more focused on the fact that we scored 6 goals. We do have to go to game 7 in this matchup, though, but I'm not too concerned about game 7. Most of the time, we win in game 7, and is that going to be the case again? Okay, we're allowing the first 2 goals of the game. We're allowing the first 3 goals of the game. We're allowing the first 4 goals of the game. And we didn't score a single one. Yeah, so all that yapping about us being good in game 7, yeah, it's gone out the window. We've lost back-to-back game 7s now. There's nothing to celebrate. Now, that was definitely a disappointing exit. We lost to the Anaheim Ducks, and they're not even going to win the Stanley Cup. They're going to lose to Minnesota, who's winning the Stanley Cup. But I'm going to keep it a stack here. Nathan MacKinnon, you're likely coming back to the team. I'm going to do everything in my power to bring Nathan MacKinnon back because he's the best player on this team. Somehow he puts up the best numbers, even though he's regressing. He's up to an 88 overall. I don't get this game. Plain and simple, I do not understand this game. Nathan MacKinnon, how much money are you looking for? I would love to give you an extension right now. Cole Perfetti is likely going to have to be traded away in order to get this deal done, but maybe not. $10 million for the next 2. How about we do a 3-year deal? Okay, then he wants $14 million. I'm not doing that. But I can definitely lock Nathan MacKinnon down. Why does he have basically 0 contract interest? I have no clue. Let me have a quick negotiation with him. Now, after talking to Nathan MacKinnon, this is what we're looking at. 8.2 for the next 2 years. If we're able to keep Nathan MacKinnon around, we're definitely going to be making it back to the Stanley Cup final next season. And ladies and gentlemen, he's accepting the very next day. Nathan MacKinnon wants to stay in Calgary. All right, so we got to make some moves to prepare for the final 3 seasons. Cole Perfetti, I'm going to send you over to Vancouver. Tom Willander, we're going to bring you in. I'm also going to be shipping out Jake Bean as well, just so we can make the contracts work. They're going to be rejecting this deal, but in reality, it's probably not going to take us too much more. So I'll give you the 92nd overall pick. They're still saying no, but they want a 7th rounder. And you know what? How about I give you a 6th round pick instead? I'll give you the 188th overall. Tom Willander, welcome to the team. Now we're going to flip you over to Vegas. So Tom Willander is going to be shipped out along with the 28th overall pick. Semenov's going to be joined the team. He's a medium league potential sniper that was just drafted 5th overall. He can play some good bottom 6 minutes for me. I'm actually very surprised this package isn't enough. I guess we have to throw some 2nd round picks in the deal. So here's a 2nd rounder for 2033. Is that going to be enough to get this one done? It looks like it. Like, at the end of the day, we no longer need Cole Perfetti. Nathan MacKinnon's our number 1 playmaker. Kent Johnson's going to be our number 2 playmaker. Let's just bring in some cheap guys for the bottom 6. Now, I know for a fact you guys weren't expecting this, but in the 4th round, a low elite potential player, nobody saw this coming. Now, we only have $9 million in cap space, so we really can't be doing too much here. But Tara Vinen, you will be joining the team. You're up to an 80 overall. You can play some really good third pairing minutes for me at a really cheap price. So I'm definitely perfectly fine with bringing you to the team. Gabe Pro, on the other hand, he's looking for $5.4 million. I don't think we can do that for a bottom 6 guy, so I think he's going to be leaving the team. Hanzek, how much are you going to be looking for? You want 4.4. I don't know if we can do that. Trevor Connolly, we should be able to re-sign you, but even you want 3.1. Yeah, I think basically everyone here is going to be walking. We just don't have the money for these guys. Andrew Basham, maybe we can keep you around, and at $850K, I can definitely do that. Alright, so we don't have the most cap space in the world when it comes to handing out extensions, and there's 3 key guys that need to be signed. Starting with Jason Robertson, he's looking for $15 million. Yeah, I think we're probably just going to be riding out your contract. Tara Taratukin, how much are you looking for? You want $16 million? Okay, we might be making some trades here. He's a 92 overall with low franchise potential, so his trade value should be pretty high. Yakimchuk, you're really the only guy looking for a reasonable deal. So Yakimchuk, I'll bring you back to the team. We'll do $6.8 million for the next 4 years. I can work with that. And then Sasaki, I guess I can keep you on this team as well. You're 79 overall. What if we did 2 years at like 1.3 million? I think that's not a bad deal, but you're not really interested in that. So how about we do 2 years at 1.4? Also, hold on, wait a minute. Dustin Wolf, we have to make sure you return to this team. We need you for the next 2 years. So how about we do 8.5 for the next 2? Actually, I'll just give you a full no movement. Like, you're definitely the most valuable player to our team. So how about we do 8.6 million for the next 2 years? That will keep you around. We'll end up riding out Jason Robertson's contract. And then with our low franchise potential player in Taratukin, we'll trade him away. All right, now I think things are going to work out pretty well for us. Taratukin, I'm going to send you over to the San Jose Sharks. We're bringing in Nazar Harper. He's an 88 overall that picked up 42 goals last season. We're also bringing in Quentin Musty, who's an 86 overall. He can play really good minutes on our bottom six, especially at 2.7 million. And then we'll bring in Crawford. He's a medium league potential player, 83 overall. He's under contract for the next 2 years, so he's going to be a really cheap player. Can we walk away with all three of these guys? They're going to be saying no, but I don't think we're too far off. I know we have a medium league potential player on this team that I could trade away, so hopefully that's going to be enough for San Jose to be accepting this one, and it looks like it is. So we just got a big time upgrade to the team. I think Calgary is almost ready to win another Stanley Cup. So we have $13 million in cap space, and I just noticed Frondell is an available free agent. He still has medium league potential, but we're only going to be able to lock him down to a 1-year deal. But at $6.4 million, I think he's going to be willing to accept that immediately, and it looks like he is. So Frondell is going to be joining the team. He's going to be a great player for the bottom six. Now we just need to find a couple more cheap guys. Luke Kunin could be that guy, but Mazar, I think you're going to be a little bit better. We can bring you in for the next 3 years at 2.2 million. That's an absolute steal, so you're going to be joining the team. Pontus Holmberg is also going to be available for 1.2 million. Of course, we have to bring him to the team. A stick on the ice legend. And then we'll finish it off with one centerman. I'm not really too sure who that's going to be. We could go with Pavel Zacha again, and why not? Pavel Zacha, I'll bring you back to the team. Here's 2.4 million. Also, I suppose it wouldn't hurt if we brought in a backup goaltender. So Charlie Lindgren, you're going to be that guy for me. Now, when I originally brought Nathan McKinnon to the team, I was thinking it was going to be 1 year with him and then he would be leaving the franchise. But that's not the case. Nathan McKinnon is now up to an 88 overall. He's looking absolutely fantastic. He's going to be our #1 centerman moving forward. As long as he doesn't drop to like a 75 overall, he's more than likely still going to be one of the top players on this team. We're looking pretty solid across the board. The defense is looking amazing. We know what we have when it comes to goaltending. We just need this team to figure out in the postseason. No more disappointing exits. So Calgary is going to dominate the NHL once again. A 57-20-5 record. We had the most goals in the NHL at 3.82 goals per game. We had the best defense at 2.5 goals allowed. So that's why I'm a little bit surprised that we didn't win 60 games this season. Like, we were the best offensive, the best defensive. From top to bottom, this team looked absolutely amazing. I'm surprised we didn't win 60 games. Especially when you look at Dustin Wolf's numbers. 50 wins, 6 shouts, a 921 and a 228. Nah, we were robbed of 60 wins this season. But you know what? Who cares about how many games we won during the regular season? We have the postseason coming up. We're taking on the Edmonton Oilers. We've been disappointed in back-to-back postseasons. We're not going to make it 3 in a row. So let's start it off against the Edmonton Oilers in the first round. We could be getting a rematch against the Anaheim Ducks in the second round, but we have to focus on the Oilers first. We're winning game 1 and then dropping game 2. Do not drop game 3. That's a must-win game for us, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing. Unfortunately, we are dropping game 4. So I guess we're going to win game 5, lose game 6, and then win game 7 based on the trends so far. We're winning game number 5. Now it's time for us to lose game 6 and then win game 7. But you know what? It looks like we're changing the trend. We're closing it out in 6 games. So we're moving on to the second round, and do we get our rematch against the Anaheim Ducks? It doesn't look like it. Instead, we're going to have the Seattle Kraken. Now, if Seattle is taking down the Anaheim Ducks, then they're definitely going to be a tough task. We've won the first 2 games. Make that the first 3 games. Is it going to be a sweep? It doesn't look like it. We'll have to close this one out in 5 games, but I'm perfectly fine with that. Okay, we have now lost back-to-back games. You better not lose 3 straight games here. Luckily, we don't have to worry about it. We're 8-4 moving into the conference finals. 8-4 is not the greatest record in the world. But you know what? Things could be significantly worse. Like, we could have got swept in the first round. Luckily, that didn't happen. We're taking on the St. Louis Blues in the conference finals. We are flying right now. We won the first 3 games, but dropped game number 4. Do not drop game 5. We are not doing this again. Do not drop game number 6. We don't have to worry about it. We've made to the Stanley Cup final. There is only one team in front of us, and that's the Philadelphia Flyers. So all I'm asking for is one more win. Give me one more win against the Philadelphia Flyers, and we can be Stanley Cup champions. I don't know why I was asking for only one more win. I need needed 4 more wins. But you know what? We got all 4 of those wins. We're sweeping the Philadelphia Flyers, and just like that, we're Stanley Cup champions once again. The Calgary Flames are back where they belong at the top of the NHL as Stanley Cup champions. Jason Robertson, 26 points, 12 goals, 14 assists. Nummelin, he's picking up 21 points. Mason McTavish, 21. Nathan MacKinnon's picking up 20. At 37 years old, he is still a dominant player for us. I'm just really hoping he doesn't retire on us. And then Dustin Wolf, 16 wins, 1 shutout, a 928 and a 209. As long as you continue to put up numbers like this, I think we can finish this video off with a three-peat. However, we do need to make sure Nathan MacKinnon doesn't retire on us, because if Nathan MacKinnon retires on us, then we're going to be in a little bit of trouble. So we'll just double check player retirement. Nathan MacKinnon, are you calling it a career? Thankfully or not, we're going to be running it back with him once again. Now, after winning a Stanley Cup, the draft is looking absolutely amazing, getting a 75 overall with the 32nd overall pick. He's going to have 2 X Factors already. I wouldn't be overly surprised if after one more season of development, this guy's going to be joining the team next season. You know who else could be an elite player? This medium elite potential defenseman. They're guaranteed to be elite. I highly doubt that player is going to be developing in time, but they will be an elite trade asset. Also, we're taking a flyer on this guy. I don't care if I'm drafting him basically 40 picks early. We are going to pray he has high elite potential, and when he does have high elite potential, we're going to trade him away. Is that the case? High fringe starter. Wow, that couldn't have aged more poorly. Okay, so we have $23 million, and I feel like we shouldn't have $23 million. Did somebody else retire on us? Like, just looking at our cap situation here, I feel like somebody retired, but it doesn't look like it. Unless I am completely missing somebody, I think everyone is here. We have all the main forwards. It seems like we have a majority of the main defense here. Why do we have $23 million in cap space? You know what? I'm not going to really worry about it. I mean, granted, Jason Robertson off the books does help us quite a bit. He's looking for $16 million. Maybe we always did have a lot of cap space. Also, for the final 2 seasons, Jason Robertson, I guess I can keep you on this team. I don't want to do $16 million though. We have to save a little bit of money. How about we do 14.5 or something? 14.5 million for the next 3 years seems really fair to me. So that's what I'm going to be offering him. Also, Frondell, were you in the lineup last season? I actually don't recall. You did not play for me last season. I signed you to join this team, and then you didn't play for me. Why didn't I put you in the lineup? I have no clue, but we're not going to question it. You know what, Frondell? Maybe you can come back for one more season. Let's bring Frondell back for one more season. I'll do 5.6 million or something. And Frondell, you actually will play for me this upcoming year. I don't know why I had you as a healthy scratch. Like, that actually makes no sense to me, but we're not going to question it. Okay, Frondell's going to be rejecting that contract offer. I guess we didn't give him enough money. Maybe we'll do $6 million for one season. That's going to leave us with about 3.8 million. I think that should work for us. And then, of course, we'll sign these 2 rookies. Now, thankfully, we do have a little bit of cap space to work with, so re-signing Harper shouldn't be too difficult. He's looking for $10 million, but we should be able to get this done. How about we do 9.8 million for the next 2 years? His contract interest and organizational interest is pretty high, so we should accept that. And then Nathan MacKinnon, how much can we do with you when it comes to a 1-year deal? Okay, Nathan MacKinnon likely won't be rejoining the team. Unless we can somehow get this down to like $9 million when I give him a no movement, it's just not going to be happening. So Nathan MacKinnon, you're likely going to be leaving the team. Quentin Musty's probably going to be leaving the team as well. We're going to be losing a handful of important pieces, but we'll find replacements. So we're coming off a Stanley Cup with this Calgary Flames team right here. I think we made like 2 changes, if that. Frondell's going to be jumping into the lineup, and he's certainly not going to be making us any worse. The team's still looking amazing. I guess Charlie Lindgren as the 75 isn't an ideal backup, but you know what? Charlie Lindgren deserves to be here. I want to get this man another Stanley Cup. We're not just playing for the Calgary Flames this season. We're also playing for Charlie Lindgren's legacy. No, I'm not too worried about the record for the Calgary Flames. I don't care that we're 3rd with a 51-25-6 record. We had the best offense in the NHL. We had one of the best defenses. We're still looking amazing. I don't care what the record is for this team. Nathan MacKinnon just picked up 110 points. What overall is he? He is an 86 overall. This makes no sense. Picking up Nathan MacKinnon was probably the best thing that could have happened for this team. Now we just need to figure out how do we keep him for the final season. Dustin Wolf, 42 wins, 3 shouts, a 908 and a 264. We know what the job is for the Calgary Flames. We know what we have to do. Let's run it back, complete the repeat, and then 3-peat in the final year. When it comes to keeping Nathan MacKinnon on this team, I am actually very confident we're going to be able to keep him on this team, because I have like 3 or 4 plans on how we're going to do so. A couple of them involve us making about 8 or 9 trades, but you know what? We're going to find a way to make it happen. We have now lost back-to-back games. Why are we losing back-to-back games? We've tied the series up, so it's a best of 3 moving forward. Do not drop game number 5. It's a must-win for us. We're going to be winning that one. Now let's close out in game number 6 so we can move on to the second second round, but instead we have to go to game 7, and I'm not a fan of game 7s anymore. In the early days, we used to be really good in game 7, but in our past history, they haven't really been on our side. We'll go ahead and simulate the first period, and we're picking up back-to-back goals. Moving into the second, Nathan MacKinnon's going to be scoring again, so we have a 2-goal lead entering the third, and Nathan MacKinnon's going to cap it off with his third goal of the game in the third period, and we're going to be moving on. So shout out to Nathan MacKinnon, one of the older vets we picked up. I wasn't expecting him to do much, and now he's our best player, even though he isn't the highest overall by any means. Nathan MacKinnon has done an amazing job proving my point, where overalls really just don't matter whatsoever. It doesn't matter what overall the player is. If they have X factors and they've been a superstar player in the past, they're going to continue to be that guy. We are down 3-1 in the series. That is not a good sign. Can we steal game number 5? Yes, we can. We're going to shut them out. Now we have to steal game 6. How about we win this one 6-0? Well, it's not a 6-0 victory, but we've won 3 in a row. Now we just need to win one more game. Can we do that? We're dropping it 4-2. I love the momentum we had. We were looking amazing. I just felt like I should keep on simulating, and it looks like that was the wrong decision. We're falling in game 7 once again. Year number 9 is officially in the books. We have one more season to win one more cup. Now, in theory, I should have jumped into that game, and we ended up losing to the eventual Stanley Cup champs, but y'all saw how much momentum we had. We were absolutely rolling there. I felt like I didn't want to mess things up. I didn't want to pause the simulation just so I could jump into that game. We just had to let the momentum flow, and you know what? That didn't work out for us. Nathan MacKinnon, 8 goals, 7 assists for 15 points. We know what the offense is looking like on this team. Dustin Wolf, you just weren't quite as dominant, and I think that was really the big difference maker. So we have one final season, year number 10 for the Calgary Flames. Before we get to year 10 though, Nathan MacKinnon, what's a contract extension looking like? Is it possible for us to keep you around? You want $14 million for one season. Okay, that's likely not going to happen. Even if we can somehow free up the money for you, I just don't know how we're going to be able to do that. Alright, so I guess we're 1000% not bringing Nathan MacKinnon back to the team because he's going to retire on us. So yeah, so long Nathan MacKinnon. You were here for some good runs. Okay, this is kind of a fitting way to end our final draft. A low elite potential player in the first round. If I didn't see a low elite potential player in the draft, I would think there's something wrong, but we don't have to worry about that. On top of that low elite potential player, we also got a medium elite potential player, and he should be a good trade asset. Now, we only have $12 million remaining, and I don't think we're going to be able to sign any of these guys. They're just going to be looking for too much money, so we'll go find some cheap replacements in free agency, we'll make a couple trades, and then we'll get ready for the final run. Alright, so before we head into our final season, there's a couple trades we have to make. Crawford's going to be sent over to the Boston Bruins so we can bring in Betts. He'll be a good second line playmaker for us. Now that we don't have Nathan MacKinnon, Kent Johnson's moving back up to the top line. Betts, you'll be a second line guy for us. Now, I think this might be the final deal. Dawes is going to be sent over to the Washington Capitals. Mallet and Esposito are both going to be brought in. 2 guys for the bottom 6. I think we're just about ready to roll. Now, we're going to make one free agent signing before we head into this final season. Sebastian Aho, welcome to the team. 5.1 for the next 2 years. I only need you for 1 season, but you can join for 2. So we have year 10 with the Calgary Flames. This team is looking very different than when we started in season number 1. Only 2 players remain over the past 10 years. Zane Parekh, who is now one of the best defensemen in the game at a 96 overall, and of course, the best goalie in the league, Dustin Wolf, who is a 90 overall. These 2 guys have won a handful of Stanley Cups together, but now it's time for them to get one more. Now, without Nathan MacKinnon, the offense isn't going to be quite as good for the Calgary Flames, but we're still the best team in the entire league. We're scoring 3.71 goals per game, only allowing 2.52. We're ready for one last run, one last chance at another Stanley Cup. Zane Parech's going to lead the way, the best player on this team, the franchise cornerstone, a 96 overall. Zane Parech's been that guy for a long time, and you know who else has been the guy? Dustin Wolf. 37 wins, 7 shots, a 923 and a 226. You know what you guys have to do? Get me one more Stanley Cup. We're taking on the Winnipeg Jets because why wouldn't we take on Winnipeg one more time? No, it's actually a little bit ridiculous how many times we have played the Winnipeg Jets in this video. I think this might be the 5th time we have matched up against the Winnipeg Jets. Basically, every other year we are seeing the Winnipeg Jets in the postseason. We've won the first 2 games. Can we make that the first 3 games? Maybe even sweep the Winnipeg Jets? It's not going to be a sweep because we are going to drop game number 3, but let's win win game 5 and move on to the second round. Let's not mess around here whatsoever. I'll take a 3-1 victory. So we've gone ahead and won 4 games. So that means we just have to win 12 more games, but let's focus on the next 4 wins, and those 4 wins have to come against the Vancouver Canucks. We're winning game number 1, but dropping game number 2. Don't drop game 3. We are not in a great spot right now. Don't drop another game. Luckily, we don't have to worry about that. So we're moving into game 5. It's a best of 3 moving forward. We're going to win game 5, which is the most important game, as we all know. Now win game number 6 and move on. Things are starting to look up for the Calgary Flames. The Dallas Stars are the next team in front of us. Can we take down the Dallas Stars? Well, we won the first 3 games. Is it going to be a sweep? Yes, it is. We're in the Stanley Cup final. The Stanley Cup final in year number 10. There is one more team for us to take down. And who is that team going to be? It's the Pittsburgh Penguins. In the year 2035, we have made it to another Stanley Cup final. We are looking to win another Stanley Cup with this team. The Calgary Flames are ready to do so. All we need is 4 more victories. 4 more victories in the Stanley Cup final, and we will be Stanley Cup champions. And with us having a 3-1 series lead, we just need to win one more game, and that's what we're doing in game 5. The Calgary Flames Stanley Cup champions, a perfect way to finish this video off. Now, when it comes to a 10-year rebuild, I don't think I could ask for much more. I believe we won like 4 Stanley Cups in this video. It was either 3 or 4 Stanley Cups. Let me double check with Zane Perek. It's going to be 3 Stanley Cups. 3 Stanley Cups over a 10-year period. I can't really complain about that. The team was looking amazing from top to bottom. Dustin Wolf, of course, stepped up when it mattered. A 16-3-1 record, 1 shutout, a 925 and a 230. This man single-handedly won us 3 Stanley Cups. Without Dustin Wolf, we definitely wouldn't have had this much success. Although we only won 3 Stanley Cups over the last 10 years, we made like 5 Stanley Cup finals. I might be wrong with that. We made 4 for sure, because I know for a fact we did lose 1 Stanley Cup final. I just can't recall if we lost 2 Stanley Cup finals or not. The Calgary Flames were a very consistent team. We made a handful of deep postseason runs. We won 3 Stanley Cup, 4 or 5 Stanley Cup final appearances. There's not too much more I could ask for with this Calgary Flames team.